Welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls. Over the last few years, I have built a business that allowed me to quit my 9-to-5, spend more time with the ones that I love, and live my best life. Now, I'm sharing everything I learned along the way with you. Each week, my guest and I will share actionable tips, tangible advice, and honest conversations to help you build your dream business. So get ready to take notes and put in the work because this girl means business. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the Girl Means Business podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. I am just coming off of a long vacation with my husband. We headed to Vegas for a few days where, unfortunately, I came down with a little bit of a head cold, so my voice is a little scratchy today. I apologize. But it's all okay because tomorrow is the 4th of July and we are going to go spend some quality time with our friends at the lake house and just enjoy this long, relaxing weekend. I hope that you're going to do the same thing. I hope that you're going to take some time away from work, your business, everything else you have going on to just spend time with family and friends and relax a little bit. It's so nice just to have a little bit of time to yourself. This last week when we were in Vegas, my husband was there for work, and so I spent one of the days while he was working doing absolutely nothing. I slept in, I watched reality TV during the day, I laid out by the pool, I read a book that was not business related. It was amazing. And it just reminded me that while it's so great to have these passions and these dreams and these things that we're constantly chasing, it can also be really exhausting, even if we don't realize it. Because in a 9-to-5 job, you have a clock in, you have a clock out. And while you might take home some of your work with you, there's a very definite start and stop to your day. When you run your own business, when you work from home, when you work for yourself, you're on 24/7. And I know that there are so many nights that I get up in the middle of the night to get things done, or I stay up late, or I get up early, or I'm utilizing every second of my day to do something that feels productive. And it gets to be really tiring. And so just taking a break, making time for yourself, even if it's just a couple hours one afternoon, or if you want to take an entire day or a couple of days, do it. It's going to make you have so much more clarity in your business. You're going to come back to your business way more refreshed, because that's what I came back to this week. After getting back from that vacation, I had so much energy. I was so ready to jump back into my business. I was excited where I had kind of gotten to the point where I was just worn out and tired. I had that energy back again. I had that excitement back again. And I'm just ready to hit the ground running. So this week with 4th of July, the long weekend, take some time to take a break, relax, enjoy your family and friends, enjoy the summer, enjoy being around some water, hopefully cooling off a little bit, some good food and some good drinks, and then come back and start again refreshed next week. All right, so we are on week 14, and this week we're going to talk all about SEO, or search engine optimization. So today's episode is going to be all about why you need to worry about SEO and some tips and tricks that you can do right now to get your business noticed online, because that's the ultimate goal. You want your website and your business to show up when someone does a Google or an online search. So that's our goal today. I want you to walk away from this episode feeling like you have some really practical things you can implement in your business that will help you get new clients through those online searches. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first question I usually hear is, what is SEO and how does it work? So SEO is search engine optimization. It's basically how easy is it for people to find your business in an online search. So what happens in an online search, and I'm going to put this in the most simple, easiest to understand terms I can think of. So an online search, when you go to Google and you type in something simple as nail salons in Dallas, Google sends out all of these little crawlers. And I like to think of these little crawlers like those rubber sticky hands, those jelly sticky hands that kids play with. My kids play with them all the time and I can't stand them. But I imagine these little crawlers as kind of being like those sticky hands. And what's happening is those crawlers are going out onto the internet and they're looking for those keywords that all match nail salon Dallas. And so if there's anything that matches those keywords, that sticky hand is going to grab it and pull it back as part of your search results. And this is all obviously happening like super fast. But that sticky hand is reaching out, and it's grabbing onto those keywords, it's pulling it back, and those are the sites that you're being given in your online search. Now, Google uses a ton of different criteria to rank which ones it shows first. Now, obviously, the first few ones are going to be ads that people are paying for you to see. But once you get past those ads, Google determines which one to show first, second, third, and so on based on some simple criteria. It's looking for things like, how relevant is this information to what you're searching for? How closely related to the keywords that you search for is this website? How up to date is the website? Is it a secure website? There's all these different things that it's looking for, and it's going to use all those things to decide which ones to show you first. Now, anyone who's done a Google search will know that most people don't go beyond the first or second page of a Google search. So you want your website to show up on that 1 or 2 page, because beyond that, most likely people are not going to search that far into the results to find you. So we're going to talk today a lot about ways that you can get your website on those first 2 pages. And one of the first things you want to really look at are those keywords. So you need to know what keywords are your clients searching for. One easy way to do this is to take a sheet of paper and make a list with 3 columns. So the first column is going to be your industry. So that would be things like nail salon, hairstylist, makeup artist, photographer, online boutique, fashion boutique, bakery, whatever it might be that your industry is, put that in the first column. List all of them that you can think of. In the second column, you're going to get a little more specific. So if you are a hairstylist, but you specifically are freelance or you work with brides, that's where you want to put those keywords. If you're a photographer, but you specifically specialize in families, weddings, births, newborns, whatever it might be, that's where you're going to put those keywords. The third column is going to be your locations. So if you live in a large metroplex area, so like Dallas-Fort Worth, you want to be a little more specific than that. Within each large area, there's usually smaller suburbs, smaller towns. Pick those smaller towns and suburbs that you want to focus on, that your ideal clients are in. So that might mean instead of saying Dallas-Fort Worth, you say Plano, or you say Louisville, or you say Southlake, or Keller, or Grapevine. And you can have multiple locations, so you don't have to just stick to one specific location. I would suggest having 4 to 6 locations, depending on how far out you want to go from your central area. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take those 3 columns and you're going to create keyword phrases. Now, these keyword phrases are things that people are searching for when they do a Google search. And one way you can kind of help this out too is go to Google and you type in the first part of your keyword phrase and see what pops up next, because that lets you know what some of the popular searches in your area are. So for example, if you own a bakery and you specifically sell cupcakes and you're located in Frisco, then your keyword phrase might be Frisco Cupcake Bakery, or Frisco Bakery that makes cupcakes, or cupcakes for birthday parties in Frisco. You want to create a kind of a combination of those different pieces of your keywords so that you can strategically use those, which we'll get to later on your website, in your content you post online, because those are the keywords those little Google crawlers, those sticky hands, are going to reach out and try to grab onto. So you want to make sure they're there in your content, and you want to make sure that they sound like something people would search for. One quick tip on the keyword search. You want to make sure that you're not using terms that are too industry specific. So for example, as a photographer, a lot of times when we're talking to other photographers, we use things like portrait session, or we'll say investment instead of pricing. These are not words that our clients are using though. If you really look at the Google searches that they're looking into, that they're using, they're going to say things like photo session or photo shoot or pictures. They're not going to say portraits. So if you're advertising everything on your website is senior portraits or family portraits, and your ideal client or your clients are searching for senior pictures or senior photographer, and that's not the keywords you're using, you want to be very careful about that, because then you're not going to show up in those searches. So just be mindful of that when you're making that keyword list, that you're using the terminology and the phrasing that your clients are going to be using. All right, so now that we have your keyword list ready to go, let's look at 10 different ways that you can get your website and your online presence ready and available for those Google crawlers to find you. These are going to be just simple things you can do and you can start building on over time. One thing to keep in mind is that SEO is not an overnight thing. It's not something you can do once and expect to just be on the first page of Google forever. You have to constantly keep at it. It's like running a race. If you start to slow down, the next person might pass you up. And if they slow down, you might pass them up. So you have to constantly be keeping this going on the background of your business so that Google consistently sees your website as something they want to share with others. So while that might sound a little bit daunting and a little bit exhausting, trust me, it's not as hard as it might sound. These are some really simple things you can be doing that are going to benefit your SEO and also benefit you in your business and set you apart from some of the other businesses out there that are doing the same thing that you are. So the first thing we want to look at is your website. So our first few tips are going to be all about how to get your website optimized for SEO. And number one is you want to make sure your website loads quickly. Google loves websites that load really fast and have zero lag time. So as a website visitor, if the images take too long to load or they don't load at all, more likely than not, that viewer is going to X out and go somewhere else. So you want to make sure your site is running smoothly. Make sure your images are all sized for the web. They're not these huge image files that are slowing things down. And check and make sure there aren't any other elements on your page that are slowing down your load time. The faster that page loads, the quicker people are able to get information, the more Google is going to like your site and the longer visitors are going to stay on your site. Google wants to see that your website is something that people want to interact with. So if people are going to your website and staying there for a period of time, then Google's going to see that and they're going to be more likely to bump you up to higher on their search list than they would if people were spending 2 or 3 seconds and Xing out. So make sure your website loads very quickly. So number 2 is how up-to-date is your website? If you created your website 3 years ago and you checked it off a list and you haven't touched it again, it's time to do some updates. Keeping your website up to date lets Google know that you are still in business, that you're relevant, and that your website is worth sharing. If you've ever gone to a website that looks like it hasn't been updated in years, it's a pretty good chance that Google's seeing that same thing and it's realizing this is not a worthy of sharing website. This is not something that feels relevant to our clients. And we don't even know that this business is still in business because they haven't updated anything in a long time. So to keep it up to date, make sure that you're switching out photos every couple of months, that you're updating any important information, and that you're adding new content to your website, whether that's with blog posts or new information, up-to-date special offers, new content, new products, whatever it is that you have to put on your site. You want to make sure that you keep it up to date so that your clients and Google both know that you are still relevant. Number 3 is your website mobile friendly? Mobile device searches have increased incredibly in the past few years. Most people are doing searches on their mobile device. So Google places a ton of emphasis on sites that are mobile friendly. In fact, the last thing I heard was that if your device is not mobile friendly, it's almost even a ding against your website, which tells Google not to share it in results. The easiest way to check this is to try pulling up your website on your phone or tablet. Make sure all your pages are loading correctly and that it's easy to read and it's easy to navigate. One problem I usually see with online or with websites that are not mobile friendly is that when you pull it up on your desktop or your laptop, it looks great. When you pull it up on your phone, it only shows you half of the website. And you don't get the full, you have to either scroll to the left or you have to scroll down. And so you want to make sure that whatever platform you're using for your website, that it allows you to create a mobile-friendly version. And so Definitely check into that. Make sure your website is mobile friendly, since that's not only a great way for Google to bump you up higher in the ranks, but also it gives your viewers a much more user-friendly experience. And since most of your viewers are going to be looking at your website on a mobile device of some kind, you want them to get the best representation of your website and your business possible. All right, number 4 is your platform matters that you host your website on. Not all website platforms are created equal. It can be really tempting when you're first starting out to go for one of the free websites such as Wix or Weebly. The problem with those is that you don't really have full control of your website. You're basically renting your space from another company, so their ultimate goal is to promote their own platform and not yours. So when you purchase your own website and you're hosting it through a hosting company, you have complete control over all your features and functions. So I personally use WordPress, which I love. I've also heard really great things about Squarespace. I know that Shopify is another really good one if you're selling products online. So make sure you're choosing platforms that really work well for you, but are also going to benefit you with your SEO. All right, number 5 is page titles. So each page on your website has its own name and page description that are searchable by Google. Think about when you pull up a Google search and you see a title and there's like a couple little sentences below it that give you a description of what that page is about. That's the page name and description that Google is searching for. So this makes it a great place to include your top keywords, those that include your location and what you do. For example, on my photography page, those are usually things like home, pricing, portfolio, contact, etc. One thing I like to do here, though, is create unique titles for my pages and then hide them from view. So for example, on my wedding portfolio page, for the menu bar, it'll say something like portfolio or sample images, but the title I actually give the page, I want to use my keywords. So for that title, it actually is Denton Wedding Photographer Photos. And while no one's going to see that title on my website, it's now attached to that page for a keyword search. So when someone does a search for a Denton Wedding Photographer examples or photos, hopefully this little crawlers will be able to reach out and grab onto those keywords on that page title and bring it back in. So changing up your page titles, just making sure they're not visible to your viewer, but adding in those keywords to your page titles can really help Google find your website faster. Because again, clients are not going to be searching for words like information, portfolio, contact. They're going to be looking for those keywords that match what your business does, and where you're located. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break from all this amazing information to talk to you about one of my favorite sponsors, HoneyBook. You all probably know how much I love this program. It's one of the best things I've ever invested in my business. But today I want to tell you a little bit about some other people who have tried HoneyBook and are loving it just as much. Just this week, I received 2 messages from people who have tried HoneyBook. 2 people who heard about it here on Girl Means Business, gave it a try, and are seeing for themselves just how amazing it is in their own business. The first message I got came from Charlotte. She said, OMG, how in the world did I survive before without HoneyBook? I'm loving this. I feel so organized and accomplished. Charlotte, I cannot agree more. It is the best. And I think that people who have never used a client management system before don't understand how much time they're spending on day-to-day tasks that HoneyBook makes so much easier and gives you back that time. The second message came from Sarah, and she says, thank you so much for introducing me to HoneyBook. I've only used a few of the features so far, but I can already see a huge difference in my business. I can't even imagine what's going to happen when I really dive into all of the features it has to offer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So these are just 2 examples of other people who have fallen in love with HoneyBook the way that I have. So I know you've heard me talk about it. I wanted you to hear it from other listeners who are trying HoneyBook for themselves and seeing the difference it can make in their business. So if you're interested in more information about HoneyBook or trying it for half off in your first year, which HoneyBook is offering to Girl Means Business listeners exclusively, feel free to go to today's episode page, which is at girlmeansbusiness.com/episode 14. On that page, you'll find behind the scene videos that walk you through how I use my own personal HoneyBook account on a daily basis and all the features it has that I absolutely love. Then if you're ready to try HoneyBook, you can use the HoneyBook code bit.ly/GMB HoneyBook. That's bit.ly/GMB HoneyBook and take 50% off, half off your first year. Once you try it, I know you're going to fall in love with it, just like Charlotte, Sarah, and myself have as well. All right, guys, back to the show. So tip number 6 is content creation. When it comes to marketing, content is king. Creating meaningful, engaging, and relevant content will help keep your website active and relevant. When you first created your website, you posted up your information, you added some beautiful photos and maybe a contact form. But then what did you do after that? Did you let it sit, or have you been adding information to it on a regular basis? When it sits stagnant for a long period of time, Google starts to think you're no longer relevant or that maybe you've shut down your business. So one of the easiest ways to keep your website up to date is to create a blog. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can hear the eyes rolling and the sighing coming through the microphone, but blogging doesn't have to be a chore or a challenge. If you go back and listen to episode 8, where I share my number 1 marketing tip, one of the things I talk about in that episode is becoming an expert in your area. And blogging is a great way to do that. It allows you to put out content that your ideal client is going to take in and consume and learn from, and it's going to give them valuable information. When you know your ideal client, you can easily write to him or her about things that she enjoys. For example, if your ideal client is a mom of young children, then you have a plethora of topics you can write about already. Cooking for kids, things to do around town, how to survive a summer road trip with little ones. The list goes on and on. So you don't need to worry about writing about your business or writing about what it is that you do all the time. You need to start creating content that's going to provide value to your clients. For example, on my personal photography website, I have created a resource library of content for brides to help them better plan their wedding. This includes things like where to shop for your bridal dress, how to ask your bridesmaids to be part of your wedding day, what to look for when it comes to your perfect venue, and tips for choosing the perfect flowers for your wedding day. There's so much information on my blog that allows viewers and brides to help plan their wedding. None of it is directly marketing my photography services, but it's getting my name in front of them. It's getting them onto my website so that when they are ready to book a wedding photographer, they're hopefully going to think of me first because I've already provided them with tons of valuable information. So when it comes to creating content for your website to keep it up to date and relevant, don't focus so much on marketing your business through this content, but focus on giving back to your clients, creating content they're going to want to consume and share with others. So it's kind of a double win-win situation. Not only are you keeping your website up to date and relevant, which is allowing Google to see you as a more referable source, but it's also getting people into your website and staying there longer because you're providing them something of value. All right, tip number 7 is link building. So have you ever heard the term backlinks? Backlinks are a great way to build your SEO by letting someone else do the work for you. So backlinks are basically links that will direct readers to your website from somewhere else. This could be something as simple as your social media sites, or it could be a completely different website where maybe you wrote a guest blog for somebody, a company, or someone else, and they shared your link to your website or social media. Those are called backlinks, and they're huge red arrows pointing to your website, which lets Google know that other people think your website is important. And basically, Google wants to go with what's popular. So if they see that somebody else wants to talk about you and share your information, they're more likely to share your information as well, which is obviously a huge boost in your SEO. So what's an easy way to get backlinks? Well, for starters, make sure you're sharing your website on all your social media platforms. have your link in the bio of your Instagram account, have your link on your Facebook page, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, anywhere that you are present online, make sure it links back to your website. You can also offer to guest write or guest speak for other businesses, other companies, other blogs. We all have something to say and we all bring something to the table, so why not share that information? Reach out to other people in your industry or related industries and ask them if they'd be willing to feature you as a guest blogger or a guest speaker. I always believe the worst they can say is no, so I'm more than willing to ask. And if they do, that's fine. I just move on to the next business on my list. So start keeping a list of possible collaborations that you can have with other businesses. That might mean getting onto someone's podcast and being interviewed, or writing a guest post for them, or offering to do a Instagram takeover or do a live video feed on their Instagram page. The options are really limitless with all of the social media and podcast and blogging out there, that you could be on a million different platforms if you really just start asking the question. So make a list of all of the companies and people that you feel like are going to direct your ideal client back to your website, and start reaching out to them and asking to do maybe a link share where you do something for them and they do something for you in exchange. That way you're pointing back to each other's websites. Tip number 8 is to label all your images. Now, this doesn't mean on your computer. It doesn't mean have folders with pretty labeled names on them. It's talking about the images you put out onto your website and social media. A lot of times when it comes to SEO, we put a lot of our focus on the words, but the pictures are just as important, especially because when Google goes out to search for things, they can't see the images on your site, so you have to give them titles and descriptions. It's those titles and descriptions, when they include the keywords that you're trying to use, that Google can grab onto. So every image that goes onto your website or blog should have a title that uses your keywords and an alt tag. So when you upload a photo to your website, it's going to give you places for a title, a description, and an alt tag. And the title and the alt tag are the two you want to focus on, because that's where you want to plug in those keywords. So for example, if I were to upload a photo from a recent wedding that I shot, in the title, I might put something as simple as Milestone Wedding, Denton Wedding Photographer. So this title now includes the location of the venue, which is going to help with anybody searching for that venue. And it's also going to include my keywords, Denton Wedding Photographer, for anyone searching for those keywords. Then when it comes to the alt tag, that's where I'm going to be a little more descriptive about the information that's in the photo. So if it was a photo of a bride and groom, I might say bride and groom at the Milestone Mansion. One benefit of adding these keywords and descriptions to your images is that when someone's searching in a Google search and they type in Milestone Mansion bride and groom or Milestone Mansion wedding, and they click on the image tab, hopefully the images that I have included these keywords for are going to show up in that image search. So if someone is doing a visual search on Google, you also want to show up in that visual search. So adding that information to your images is really going to help there. All right, our last tip, number 9, is to register with Google and get reviews. This is something I've done in the last couple years and really focused on the last year or so with the reviews, and have seen a huge improvement in the number of inquiries that are coming to me straight from Google. So Google loves businesses that are on their side. The easiest way to get on their side is to register your business with them. Registering your business lets Google know that you're actively in business and seeking clients, and it allows you to collect reviews, which will help potential clients feel confident when booking you. It'll also help boost your ranking in searches by letting Google know that you're a reliable business. One of the other benefits of registering your business with Google is that if someone were to type in your business directly or do a search related to your business name, then your business information specifically is going to pull up. That'll include things like your hours, directions on how to get to where you're located, your website, and then reviews associated with your business. So getting in registered with Google is really going to help you kind of get in on Google's side. And reviews are huge because not only does it let Google know that people are loving your business, but it lets other people who are searching for your business or find your business know that they can trust you and that there's social proof behind the benefits of your business, that people are already interested in your business and sharing their love for your business. And so one of the best ways to get reviews is just to ask for them. Reach out to past clients and just say, hey, if you have loved working with our company, would you please follow this link and go leave us a quick review over on Google? Most of the time, people just forget. They don't think about it. So making it really easy, sending them a link where they can just click on it and leave a quick review is going to make things a lot easier for them. And don't feel bad asking multiple times. Now, I'm not going to say send them 3 emails in a week, but if you send them an email and then they don't give you a review, don't be afraid to ask again in a month. Just say, hey, I know life gets busy. If you have a moment, could you please go and leave us a quick review over on Google? Again, most of the time, life gets in the way. People get busy and they just forget. It's not that they don't want to help your business. It's not they don't want to leave a review. They just get busy and forget. So don't feel afraid asking for reviews. And if you have new clients coming in or other businesses that you have worked with, ask them to leave you a review. There's nothing wrong with asking. And the more people you can get leaving your reviews, the better, because it's going to help other potential clients feel confident in working with you, and it's really going to help boost your SEO. All right, so that was our episode with our 9 tips for how to boost your SEO and make sure you're getting noticed online. Keep in mind that building a strong SEO presence takes time and perseverance. It's not going to happen overnight, so make sure you're being patient. Just keep working at it and implementing those ideas, and I promise you'll start seeing results. If you want to dive even deeper into SEO and really get your business noticed online, I have an amazing offer for you. If you head over to today's show notes at girlmeansbusiness.com/episode 14, you can sign up for my free SEO crash course. In this crash course, you're going to get daily emails from me with video and written information walking you through the steps of how to build up your SEO. You're also going to have daily homework assignments to make sure you're staying on top of your tasks. Obviously, this is information you can hold on to and put to work at any time, so there's no pressure on you to get it done during that crash course time frame. So if you're interested in signing up, again, head over to today's show notes at girlmeansbusiness.com/episode 14 and click on the SEO crash course sign up button. All right, guys, I hope to see you in there. And I know that once you get your SEO going, you're going to have those emails rolling in, your inbox is going to be full, and your business is going to be rocking. Okay, it's my favorite time of the show, and that's when we head into the listener lounge and answer one of your specific questions. So this week's question was a write-in question from Stacy, and here's what she had to say. I feel like one of the major things holding me back with marketing is not knowing how to communicate to my target client. How do you target your ideal client when you literally have nothing in common with them? So Stacy, that's a great question. And I think it's one that a lot of us have thought about or struggled with at some point in our business, especially when creating an ideal client profile. One thing I would ask back to you in return is, why do you not feel like you have anything in common with your ideal client? Because I would have said about 2 years ago that I had nothing in common with my ideal client. But the more I had my ideal client coming into my studio and I started working with more of them, I realized that we had a lot more in common than I thought that we had. So I would really take a look at who your ideal client is, figure out where you might have some little touch point connections, whether it's something as simple as the city that you live in, or it might be something a little bit larger. Maybe it's a passion that you have for getting involved in a community service, or maybe it's even as simple as the fact that your client just wants to feel good about themselves, and every human can relate with wanting to feel good about themselves. So I would say really dig deep and look for those little connections that can turn into something bigger at some point. And if you find that you're still struggling to figure out what those connections are, then I would suggest going out and finding someone who is your ideal client, whether it is maybe a friend that you have or a client that you have worked with in the past, and ask to interview them. Sit down and say, hey, I really want to understand, my ideal client and what gets them excited. What are their pain points? What are the things that they are looking for? And really dive into who they are as a person and use that to create that ideal client profile so that you have content you can start creating based on that singular person. So I know it can feel really frustrating when you don't think you have something in common with your ideal client, but just as human beings, we all have something that connects us. We have these invisible strings between all of us that are connecting us all together in different ways. And even the most random person that you can never imagine having something in common with, I think deep down, there's always going to be something, whether it's a human basic need or a fear that we all have, there's something that's going to get you to a point where you understand that person and they understand you on a level that you didn't necessarily see before. So I feel like that's getting really deep and thoughtful there. But when it comes to business, you don't always have to stay surface level. So you might be looking at an ideal client and thinking, well, my ideal client is somebody who has tons of money and travels around in a private jet and wears expensive, lavish clothing and has a mansion they live in. And that's not anything like my life. And while on the surface level, that might be true, I guarantee you that when you go below the surface level, there's going to be something there that you can connect with on a deeper level that's going to make them want to come and work with you. So Stacey, I hope that helps give you a little clarity, maybe some ideas on things that you can do to go and start learning more about your ideal client and finding those little connections. I wish you the best of luck. Please let us know how things are going and keep in touch. And thank you so much again for sending in your Listener Lounge question. So if you're listening to this and you have a question about business, marketing, social media, or anything related to running a business as a female entrepreneur, please send those questions to me so that I can share them here on our weekly Listener Lounge segment. You can either send those to me via voice recording through Facebook or Instagram messaging, or if you feel more comfortable writing in an email or sending me a message through Facebook or Instagram and writing out your question, I'm more than happy to accept those and read those here as well. I don't want you to feel like you are limited to only sending me a voice recorded message. So send me those questions so that I can get them answered and get you moving forward in your business. All right, guys, thank you again so much for tuning in this week. I love all the feedback I'm hearing from some of y'all about how much you're loving the show. Please go on and leave me a quick review on iTunes. Let me know what you love, what you want more of or less of, so that I can tailor this specifically to those of you that are listening to me. I want to make sure you're getting the most out of every episode that you possibly can. All right, guys, enjoy your 4th of July. I hope you have a great, relaxing, long weekend, and I will see you back here next week. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you never miss when a new episode goes live. Then head over to iTunes and leave a quick review to let other people know just how much you loved it. Thanks, ladies. See you next week.